Hello there, I'm Dave from Dyno Bike, and today we are having some fun with a Harley Davidson. This one's a Dyna 2016 model. In fact, we've had a big play with this one. It started out as a standard 103, then we put some high comp pistons in it, a set of S&E cams, some 58mm throttle bodies, and a set of Screaming Eagle heads on it as well, and a 2-into-1 exhaust, and we tuned it to suit. And then we analysed all the data and felt that the horsepower it was producing for what was put into this engine was probably not quite up to spec, for want of a better word. It was showing 98, 99 horsepower and what was it, 106 foot-pounds of torque. Just thought, well, probably should be a little bit higher than that. But the exhaust that was on it was quite heavily baffled. I'm not going to say which exhaust it was. It just creates a whole lot of issues that I don't need. It was heavily baffled, and the reason being that it was is because the owner wanted something that wasn't obnoxiously loud, that he could pretty much ride all day long. So the final result with that configuration was, as I said, 98 horsepower and about 106 foot-pounds of torque. But then a few weeks or a few months went by, and I had a number of conversations with the owner and managed to convince him to try a different exhaust system on it. Now, it was still a 2-into-1 system, not so heavily baffled, obviously made a little bit more noise than the previous system made. So we put this new exhaust system on it and did a little bit of tuning work, a little bit of mapping work, and voila, we have 110 horsepower. And how much torque did we have? 110 horsepower and 110 foot-pounds of torque. And a 103 cube with the same S&E cylinder head, the 259 cam, and the breather kit, and the 58mm throttle bodies. So I thought, well, that's pretty good, and I figured that that's probably where that should be for the modifications that have been done to the bike. And then a little bit more time went by, and the customer said, you know, I just saw this this 110 piston kit is available. It's brand new in the box. The customer, or the guy's bought it, and then he's decided to sell the bike. So now he wants to sell this kit, and it's a pretty reasonable price. So the long and the short of it was, the customer bought that 110 kit, and we've just finished fitting that into the bike with all the previous specs that I've already mentioned, and we've tuned it to suit. Now, I thought that it might have had closer to 120 horsepower with the 110 kit in it, but to my surprise, it's not got 120 horsepower. It's peaked out at about 112 horsepower, and you're probably thinking, well, that's a bit of a waste of time and money, then I'll stick with my 103. However, wait a minute, it's got another 10 or 12 horsepower everywhere through the rev range, except that at maximum RPM or maximum horsepower is only another 2 horsepower on top of what it initially had. But everywhere else, it's got another 10 or 12 horsepower. But wait, there's more. The torque. Torque has now jumped up to 126.9. Let's miles around it off, 127 foot-pounds of torque. Right? Now, as I previously mentioned with the last set of mods that we've done, it was showing 110 foot-pounds of torque. It's now 127 foot-pounds, so that's a massive jump in torque as compared to what it previously was with the 103 kit. So I guess the lesson there is that, like, don't just concentrate on a horsepower figure and go, well, I've got to get this figure and nothing else matters, because it's quite the opposite. You need to look at the whole package and look at all the data before you can decide or you know, verify that you're heading in the right direction, or you've got what you want in terms of the power and torque figures. So the bottom line is that you know, yeah, definitely do the 110 kit. Don't expect to get massive amount more in terms of horsepower. You may or may not, depending on your exhaust system and other things that you've done to it. You might get closer to that 120 mark, but in this case, as I said, we're showing 112 horsepower, a big jump in torque as compared to the 103 kit. And I think all in all, this guy's going to be wrapped with the final result. So yeah, food for thought. I hope you enjoyed the video. Keep watching, there'll be more coming your way. I'm Dave from Dyno Bike.